that I have to admit I'm powerless. I have none. I have no power. So if I think I can do it without God, it's a joke. The 12 Steps of Sinners Anonymous and the 12 traditions of AA, and they're kind of like very close together. I mean, if like mirroring each other to some degree. And the first one just really punched me in the gut over the past 2 weeks, because for a while I've been doing really good. I've been doing so good that all these I can only say miracles have been happening in my life, and so good that I stopped doing the things that caused the miracles, like praying my rosary on a daily basis. I was doing very good at that commitment, and now being fully present and aware of what I'm doing. And when I say fully present, I mean under the influence of no alcohol, no substances, no woman, because that'll mess up your mind real quick. I'm fully aware, you know what I'm talking about, Dan? I'm fully aware of what's happening, and I see what's going on in my life, and I see, like, basically, because of this, it allowed sin to creep in. So I'm going to read this, and I'm going to go into a little bit more examples of what happened. Number one of the 12 Steps of Sinners Anonymous is we admitted we are powerless over sin, that our lives had become unmanageable. Man. I'm getting choked up because, before, when I was drinking, doing drugs, chasing women, that was my escape. I don't have that anymore. At least I choose not to have it anymore. So I don't have anything to numb who I am. I don't have anything. The only thing that can do it for me now is Him. And if I notice that if I get off course just a little bit, I'm talking about, I think it was about a week, 2 weeks, maybe it might have been about 3 weeks. I was like real sporadic of praying the rosary. And I remember Dale said one time, if you want to put on a suit of armor, pray it 3 times a day. And I'm having now to double my efforts to put that suit of armor back on, because I took it off. I got complacent. And that's the only thing I can see, that I got complacent, and I seen these things happening right before my eyes. Like, man, there's no way this would have happened if I would have been prayed up. There's no way. And I started losing my temper. Where a normal situation would have been, real easily managed. I would have been real cool, and I just seen where it's like flying off the handle over silly stuff. And I gave this talk before. It was, thank God, it was about a year or so ago, and but every time I see it, I'm getting more and more aware and more present and alert of what's happening. And I can say I can only do it with the help of God and the Holy Spirit. So I kind of wanted to tag on to what Brother Michael Mary said last week, and just talking about the Holy Spirit, how it's really there to help us. But you have to want to do it. You have to realize that just as like this number one, you know, we admitted we are powerless over sin. That I have to admit I'm powerless. I have none. I have no power. So if I think I can do it without God, that's a joke. I'm kidding myself, and I'm hurting. And then I'm hurting my family, my friends. Because everybody, to some degree, you know, in this life, we're going to suffer. There is no doubt about it. We're going to suffer, but when your suffering becomes so bad because you have to numb it down so much with whatever it is, that's when you start hurting. Your suffering starts hurting other people, and then they suffer. And I've done it in my life. I've seen both of my fathers do it to me, my mom, my brothers. And man, I tell you what, you know, my kids, they probably think I'm crazy. But you know what, that's okay, because I'm just really trying to do the best I can so they don't go out and cause harm to other people and through suffering. Because it's going to happen. It's inevitable that things happen in our lives. You know, and I realized one thing, that through this journey of personal development and trying to be better, you know, not better than anybody else, but just better than who I was yesterday. You know, just better than who I was yesterday. Because I don't know, you know, I can't compare myself. We cannot compare ourselves to anyone. You know, I can try to lift, you know, all that weight that Quan does in the gym, but I fall short. So I can't compare myself to anyone. That's true, by the way. I watched him. Anyway, but so in saying that, you know, I had to have a really heartfelt discussion with my son today because I blew up on him. We talked about that. It was a close moment today when I shared with Garrett and Dale and Danny that I basically blew up on my son today because he didn't listen. He didn't listen for the past several months, and it culminated into a culmination into what we had today, which was a problem, you know, and it delayed a lot of things, about an hour and a half delay of what we were planning to do, all because he did not listen. And it was, you know, I had to come to him and say, look, Luke, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry for the way I reacted. I said, you know, I'm trying. And he accepted my apology. And it was good. So, you know, I guess one of the things I'm really trying to drive home is whenever you're really stepping in faith, whenever you're letting the Holy Spirit guide you and just do what He wants with you, when you're doing that, you're going to feel pain. But you have to understand that it's for the greater good. Because I can tell you right now, He's like stretching me and pulling me, and I mean, I feel like I'm getting ripped sometimes. And man, it hurts. But I know it's for the greater good. And I just accept it. Good time to take a break.
Take a time out.
Take a breath. But you know, I'll go ahead since this kind of segues into what happened today. You know, man, I feel really blessed to have all of you because I texted Garrett and Dale and Danny and I said, hey guys, please pray for me. I got this going on with my kids right now, and it's like, and they kind of texted some information back, and it was like, wow, not every guy has this. Not every guy has this. This is like so much wisdom. That's, I call LP often. I talk to, William. I've talked to all of you, and everybody, we collectively, we have a collective, I guess you could say consciousness to be, to do the good, the will of God, and that's what helps us, and that's how we can manage this and get through this life and become better, and ultimately, hopefully become saints. Because what greater aspiration than to be a saint? And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's like going, like Murray just talking about, there's been people go to jail over the abortion, priests that have gone to jail at abortion rallies or prayer services. I guess I'll say it like this, if I have to go to jail, I will, but I really prefer Danny. I'm just saying, I have kids, young kids that need it. So I came across this book. I'm just joking, Danny. I'll go to jail with you. And someone, I kind of felt, I felt funny initially when this question was asked of me, because a young man, I asked him, I was like, so is this girl your girlfriend or your fiance? He was like, oh, no, it's not my fiance, not yet. I said, oh, okay. And he said, I just want to make sure everything's right before we get married. I want to make sure. I said, well, look, I know you're off to a good start. I said, just the fact that he was allowing me to entertain that subject was an honor in itself, because I came from a failed marriage, many failed relationships. In fact, you could say I know what not to do. I know what not to do. And I came across this, and I opened the book. I don't know how I opened the book to this page, but I just looked at it. I was like, man, this right here is exactly what I need to send this young man. And it says, this is 6 Battles Every Man Must Win by Bill Perkins. It's a Christian book. It says, I guarantee you your marriage will thrive if you consciously choose to love your wife as Christ loved the church, and daily put her needs before your own. And it's so important. I have a friend right here, Mr. Gale, who's a good example of that. And what I'm saying is, I have so many different people in here that I can draw their wisdom. We all collectively have different talents, but collectively we are very powerful people. And we have to share this. I think every single talk I get to, it comes down to this. We must share this. We can't keep this a secret any longer. We have to share. This Curcio thing is one of the most powerful things I've ever done in my life. It really is. And I'm so blessed to be here. I'm so fortunate that I'm able to raise my kids now. Even though, right here, I'm powerless over sin. You know what else I'm powerless over? I'm powerless over the other household, which creates even more of a challenge. I'm powerless over that, their mother's household. That's a freaking challenge. Thank God they're Catholic, they're Christian, they're Catholic. What they do in their household, I don't know. But I do know one thing. I can influence what happens in mine. That's all I can really do. And I can pray for them. And I tell her often, I say, hey, I'm praying for you. And I do. Because I want them to have their mother. I mean, nothing has changed. I still want them to have, just like I want my mother, I want them to have theirs. And I guess, you know, this book right here, it's a powerful book because it's talking about battles. And if you are prepared for battle, then chances are you're pretty fit. You're pretty, you know, not just physically, but spiritually. Because we are battling. We're battling. And right here it says, we must cast aside our passivity and live as the warriors God created us to be. We must put it aside. And we must go, and we have to be that example to people.